Hi there and welcome back. Subscribe if you want to learn how to do things like what you see on your screen right now. And to the ones returning, thank you for tuning in. Here's another basics video. We're missing that level of detail on these edges here, and I'm going to show you and demonstrate to you the fillet tool. So where do we find the fillet tool? It's living under surfaces. So here's the surface fillet tool. And this is it. We've got the construction type, the section type, and we can do variable fillets, which is nice to have, and it's something you can use on areas where you want a bigger fillet on one end, a smaller one on the other side. And here's the flow control, so how the patches are laid out within the fillet. And then you've got the surface type, if it's multiple surfaces or single one. Single one across a lot of surfaces will give you a high span number, something I don't really like. Bezier will keep it single span, but it will break up your curved surface into tiny bits. But let's jump into it. So what I want to do, I'll hide this away, go into the fillet tool, and I want to have a radius first because I need to demonstrate this. So radial will get you a constant radius between the surface sets, and depending on the angle between the surfaces, you'll have a smaller surface or a bigger one. Smaller will be in shallow angles, and sharp angles you have quite a wide surface. So let's just see it. And I'll build G1 tangent, and we're going to click through these surfaces. So what you see here is first mistake picked up by the tool itself. If I'm clicking between these two, normally you should be able to go all the way around, and it doesn't in the same color because we've got tangent break between this surface and this base surface there. So we can evaluate that. Wrong selection. And it doesn't do it. Funny. What you will also learn along the way is Alias has a dark sense of humor. And this is it. This is the dark sense of humor of Alias. What I'll do, I'll go one side across there, and then the separate one there. That's what we'll do. And this gives me a chance also to demonstrate two types of fillets in the same area. We'll go on this half there, these ones there. What we need to have is that if our radius runs towards the inside of the volume, then we need to have our arrows pointing in the same direction. If we want it towards the outside, which is not the case here, then we need to make sure that all the arrows, these two arrows, are pointing in the way we want that radius to sit. So let's build this. I'll turn on auto update. And as I was saying before, you can see that the angle here is a lot sharper. Here's shallow, and then sharper again. I'll add the surface to it as well. And fillet size is too big for what we're doing here. That's the first point. The other one is being radial and this being a sharper edge. You see it's eating away a lot of that volume there. So let's make the radius first smaller, let's say 2.5. And this gives us that. Perfect. Now I want to go the other way around here. I'll still stay with the radius, but I'll go G2 curvature, same size. And you'll be able to see the effects here. So you can see G2 eats away a lot more of that surface compared to G1. G2 is what you use for main surfaces on automotive grade modeling. Here we could say we can stick with G1 because it's going from the face of it towards the inside of this technical bit here, so it could work. So what we need here to make it work, we can play around with the form factor, and let's see what that does. We'll turn on the controls there and you'll be able to see what that does. So form factor 1 has made the radius smaller, so it eats away a lot less, and you can see here the difference between the two surfaces, right? And what is important between both of them is that on the center they will have the same radial value. And we can see that doing this measurement here. So I'm going to drop one here on the center of this. So we see 2.5 and then a minimal deviation from that. And let's run one here. Dead center, we have the same value. That's cool. So G1 will eat away less. It will generate a different light transition. You see, this is a lot sharper here. We've got that straight line and then a sudden break and it goes across. While this one gives us a smoother transition. You see a lot more lead in. This is still straight, but this one starts accelerating in and then it continues. So that's the main difference between the two. Now let me demonstrate that. So we will keep the G2 on this side and I'll show you a different construction type. So remember, radial gives you different widths, different chordal values. A chordal value is basically the distance between the beginning of the radii. And that different chordal value is depending a lot on the angle between the surfaces. So we've got the thinnest radius, that's the shallowest we get between surfaces. So that across there. Okay, let's switch this to form factor 1. And now you see this is generating an even smaller radius, meaning it spreads the CVs out differently. 0.5 is giving us this. And then let's go to G2 curvature. So now we've got the same thing on both sides. And you see we've got the inside working automatic. If we set this up to default, it will change the way this flows here. If we set it up to edge align, it will align the patches to those edges of the patches generating the radius. And this is nice to have, but for that you need to build your model in such a way that everything lines up. But it's okay. I'll stay with auto here. And then I'm going to switch this from radius to chordal. There we go. Now we have a chordal length of 10 there, which you see is still okay at the bottom there. But at the top, it's eating away too much, which means that we can decrease that to, let's say, 8, 5, let's go to 3. What stays in common with these things is the fact that we've got a constant distance from from that beginning of the radius to the other one. See, it doesn't get wider, thinner, wider, thinner. Again, it's constant. So that's the chordal radius compared to the radial construction. That's all in a nutshell. And then, well, let me show you something really cool. You can use a minimum radius here. So click on that. And then let's set up the minimum radius to 2.5. So it's like on the other side. And it will display you here what it can achieve. And now, in this kind of a situation like this, like here, what we can do is to get this similar to this is do a distance measurement on the ends of that radius there. So let's go and do that. And it's showing 4.2. So let's put that in there. Chordal length of 4.20. Now they are very similar. They're still G2, but it says that here it has achieved different minimum radius. So it's not always going to work. So you need to put some effort in here. There we go. Goes all the way around. And let's try this one more time to align this to be as big as this one. And that's where the variable fillet comes in handy. We'll need to measure one thing again, and that's the end of that radius there. And this is just for the fun of it. There we go. So this one says 9.2947. So what we can do is query edit this, bring up the history on it. You know that is the starting point. Let's click on variable fillets there. And we will put the controller here. So that's locking in the end of it. And now, hopefully we can make this work. Increase this to the size that we want it there. You can actually go in and type in those numbers as well. And how do we do that? We bring up the history of this. We click on that there. And we input here the length. So I hit tab and I'm going to put in the length here. So that's 9 point, and this number here, 22947. And that should do it, but it doesn't. So that's the variable fillet. You see it has a nice transition from this side, roughly that size, to this one. You can work on your precision there, get things dialed in. That's the rough gist of it. So I've got that in there. What I will do, I'm gonna build this kind of a radius going around there. I'll start with edge align, the end also with edge align. And then I'll put default or connect. Put connect for the insides. And it's still not giving me the cleanliness that I'm looking for, so I'm gonna hit default, which is generating too many surfaces. So I'll click on auto, and I'll use the explicit control option here, and I'll click maximum spans or degree, which gives Alias the chance to actually control each surface, and within the limit that I'm setting here, it will assign the needed CV count to each surface to make it work. So we can set the length to 6 and see if this changes there. 7. Let's add 2 so-called spans. What it will do, it will split the surfaces where the spans will be happening. So I'll keep that there. Hit next. I'll undo this one. And I'll take this and go across this way. Do that there. So we have all of that there. I'm gonna hit that point there, increase the radius to meet that up there. Add this surface to it as well. What I'll do, I'll make sure that I'll put in the same values here. So on this one, click on that arc there, click up here, and I'll put in the length of 9, which is easier to digest number. Same on here. Put 9. We have the same surface structure. Over here, I'm gonna give it 4.5. I'll stick with 4. 4.5. 4.5 on both sides. If it doesn't take the numbers, then I'll slide this up till I get to the value where I want to be. Same on this side. match them up. And that's it. Now I'm deleting the history on these. Delete the locators because I don't need them. And then object edit. I'm going to align them and align them to each other. And that's about it. So I'll clean this up myself. Stick around if you want to see that, but yeah, that's more or less it. So that's the Align 2008 for you. That's an ancient tool, but I love it. So I'll untrim this, delete those curves of surface, realign those two, and that's done for that area. I'm going to be doing the same here at the bottom. That deviation is coming there, off of the deviation there. So I'd recommend fixing these surfaces first and then fixing those together. That's a job for later. So that was it. That's the radius tool, the fillet tool in a nutshell. Done this in a previous video, so go ahead and build that. Do these radii and have some fun and learn something that will help you have more and more fun building cars if you want to do that. If you want to build products, you're free to do that too. You can use Alias to build whatever you want. It's just your imagination that's the limit to what you can do with Alias. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't done so far. Hit the notifications button to get notified whenever I post some news and content. And I'll catch you in my next videos.